Bueno, gracias por atendernos. Primero, darte la enhorabuena por la película que has creado, que me ha encantado porque yo creo que la animación hoy en día cada vez es mejor. Lo primero que te quería preguntar es cómo surgió la idea de crear esta historia y también contar un poco también la cultura pakistaní que hay dentro de la película.
So first of all, thanks very much and congrats for the film because animation these days is, well, this is really seeing something exceptional. Tell us about how the idea came about. What was it born? And the culture, the animation of animation in Pakistan today.
So I grew up obsessing over animation.
Yo crecí
I grew up obsessing over animation
con la animación
since I was a child.
Desde que era niño y
watched a lot of the remarkable work that Walt Disney Studios made, the earlier works of Disney fascinated me, and of course the works of Studio Ghibli, Hayao Miyazaki, Isao Takahata. Animation in Pakistan was a non-existent industry back then when I was growing up. There were a few independent studios making work, but there was no real infrastructure for animation. And I never grew up thinking I would make an animated movie in Pakistan. I just loved the craft. So it was very pure when I was young. Then as I started getting older, and just saw the potential with all of these remarkable artists in the country, I always wondered why has nobody started a hand-drawn animation studio in Pakistan. And then it got to a point where I just rolled up my sleeves and said, okay, then I'll do it. We'll start our own animation studio and embark on the journey of making this film. I did not think it would take 10 years, I'm being very honest.
10 años, para ser honestos,
no, I'm very grateful and it's been the journey of a lifetime.
Ha sido un viaje de una vida.
Sí, también lo que te voy a preguntar es, actualmente estamos en un momento en el que la animación está cada vez más en alza, cada vez vemos más películas de animación de diferentes estudios, diferentes directores. ¿Qué significa para ti crear estos mundos y estas historias tan llenas de belleza, tan llenas con historias tan emotivas?
At present, in the world today, we are seeing more and more films, more and more animation, more and more that's happening in the world. So what does that mean for you to be able to make films with these images and these stories that are so potent and so beautiful and so wonderful?
Can you repeat the question again, please?
Well, in the world today, we're seeing that there's more and more animation, okay? So that's one fact.
Yeah.
But for you personally, in a world where there's so much more animation, what does it mean for you particularly to be able to make films that are so beautiful aesthetically and such very good stories in a world where there's a lot of more and more animation?
Thank you so much, first of all. I'm so grateful that you enjoyed the film.
Me alegra que a ti te haya gustado la película.
I'm very happy that animation is seeing so much love in the world right now. It's not easy making animation. Everybody in this craft works so hard to be able to realize what is essentially their dreams. I'm grateful that I was able to realize this film because for the longest time it felt like it would never happen. I dedicated 1/3 of my life to making this movie. So the fact that it's finished and I'm able to share it with people now is something I don't take for granted. I got to work with a remarkable team in Pakistan and a remarkable team internationally to realize this dream. And making one movie is a miracle. If I ever get the opportunity to make more, I will show that and exhibit the same amount of gratitude, maybe even more, because I understand just how difficult it is now. When I started, I was much more naive. So I hope that in this world filled with animation, that I can contribute to it as well. And keep contributing to it.
Aportando.
Sí, muy bien. También lo que te quería preguntar es ¿qué te inspiró para hacer animación? Y luego también si tienes algún referente o compañía de animación en la que te fijes.
So what inspired you to go to animation precisely? And do you have any kind of particular inspiration or reference? Y las compañeros, and any companion?
Sí, o algún referente o alguna compañía de animación en la que se
or any reference or any company for animation or CG, anything like that.
I grew up drawing.
Yo crecí
And I grew up
dibujando.
drawing because I would watch a lot of animation, read a lot of comic books.
Leía muchos tebeos.
Drawing was my
Dibujar para
escape,
mí
my
era mi
way of
manera
expressing
de
my
escape,
imagination.
mi manera de expresar mi
So the reason I
imaginación.
wanted to do
El
hand-drawn
motivo por el que
animation
yo quería hacer
for
animación
this
a
film,
mano,
the
esta
simple
película,
reason being that
motivo
it's something I'm
sencillo,
extremely familiar
es
with
algo con el
and have an
que
understanding of.
conocía, que entendía
So,
muy bien.
in order to
Entonces,
explore the
para
various
poder
ideas in the film, I
explorar
didn't have
las
to do
distintas
anything that
ideas de la
was out
película,
of my
no
comfort
tenía que
zone,
hacer nada
which is
fuera de mi zona
important
de confort.
when you're tackling on
Eso es
something
muy
so big.
importante cuando uno va a abordar
That's
algo
the
tan
reason I
grande.
chose animation for
Motivo
this
por el
craft,
que yo
hand-drawn
elegí
animation. And
animación
in
y
terms
animación
of
a mano.
the
Y en
inspiration
cuanto a la
behind the style and
inspiración,
all the other
después del,
things that went
detrás
into
del
the film,
estilo y la película,
one big inspiration
la
obviously is
inspiración
Japanese
es evidente,
animation,
la
because
animación japonesa.
in terms of
Porque
aesthetics,
en cuanto a estética,
if I get into the technicalities
si
a little
llego a
bit,
los
Western
tecnicismos,
animation is
la
extremely
animación
movement
occidental
heavy. The works
es
of Disney are
mucho
very, very
llevado
movement
por
heavy
el
with a lot of
movimiento,
drawings.
con
We didn't
muchísimos
have the
dibujos.
luxury of
Nosotros
putting
no
that many
tuvimos el
drawings into
lujo
the film.
de poder colocar
So
tantos
what I
dibujos.
honed in on
Entonces,
is
yo me
trying to
centré
get
en
expressive
intentar
poses in the
poses
characters
expresivos,
and
posturas
relying on
expresivas y
good
contar
keyframe
con
animation and key poses
animación de
to tell
poses clave
this story.
para poder contar esa
Of course, if I
historia.
had an unlimited budget, I would have
Si
loved to
tuviese
do
un presupuesto ilimitado,
millions of
me hubiese
drawings for
gustado
the
hacer
film, but
miles
we
y miles
didn't
de
have that
dibujos,
luxury
pero
or
no
the
tuvimos
time
ese
to do it.
lujo ni el tiempo.
So
Entonces,
Japanese animation
la
was something
animación
I really
japonesa
was
es
inspired
algo
by
que,
for this
que
project.
conocí y
Would
que
I
me
like to
inspiró
do
para
it a
ese
bit
proyecto.
differently next
Si me
time? I
hubiese
don't know.
gustado
I'm not
que
thinking
variar
that
y
far
otra forma
ahead.
distinta la
But
próxima vez,
in
no
talking
pienso
about
tanto.
this project,
Pero hablando de
the
este
inspirations
proyecto,
are
la
extremely
inspiración
clear.
son sumamente claras.
Sí, también lo que te voy a preguntar es, en la película vemos que introduces el arte, primero el chico con el arte de crear figuras de vidrio y luego ella con el arte de la música. ¿Qué querías transmitir con el arte en esas dos diferentes versiones?
So in the film, we see that you introduce art, first of all, through the guy, the boy with the art, and through the glass figures, and then art through the girl with music. Okay, so I'd like you to tell us, elaborate more on exactly what and why. What did you want to depict using those two different versions of art?
Both characters, Vincent and
Ambos
Elise,
personajes,
are,
Vincent y Elise, son
I would say, aspects of my own
aspectos
personality
de mi
and
propia
things that I enjoy
personalidad,
exploring.
cosas que a mí me gusta
I
explorar.
am a craftsman
Soy
in the sense that I'm an
artesano,
artist, a
en el sentido
painter,
que
an
soy
animator.
pintor artístico,
So that's
soy animador,
Vincent's
eso es Vincent,
side covered.
digamos.
But with Elise,
Pero
I'm
con
also
Elise
a
es que
musician,
también
a
soy
performer,
músico,
and a composer.
actúo
So
y soy
both
compositor. Entonces,
characters
ambos
were an
personajes
exploration of
son una
my
exploración
personality
de mi
and
personalidad
conversations I have with
y
myself
conversación que yo tengo
regarding what it
conmigo
means to
mismo
be an
en cuanto a
artist,
lo que
what it
significa
means to
ser
be creative,
artista, lo que significa ser
especially when the world
creativo,
is kind of
sobre
falling
todo
apart
en un
around you.
mundo
And there's a wonderful line in the
tanto
film,
conflictivo.
Elise's letter
Hay una
narration.
buena frase en la
To be an
película
artist, one must
cuando
create,
Elisa dice en
because
una
without
carta,
art and
para
music,
ser
what do we
artista
have in
hay
this
que
world
crear,
full of
porque sin arte
conflict
y
and war?
música que
I
tenemos
think
en
that
este
was the
montaño de
thesis
conflicto y
statement
guerra.
of the
Esa es un
movie,
poco la declaración tesis de
and
la
it was
película
something that
y es
I
algo que yo
experienced growing
lo
up in
experimenté
Pakistan, growing
creciendo
up
en
around all of
Pakistán,
this conflict.
creciendo
Art and
alrededor de todo ese
creativity was
conflicto.
my
El arte y la creatividad
kind of
eran
release
mi
and
válvula de
escape from the
escape
world.
del
So
mundo.
I think
Entonces,
both characters
ambos
explore different
personajes
aspects of that.
exploran distintos aspectos de eso.
Sí, ok. También te quería preguntar un poco, hay un aspecto en la película, una figura en la película que me resultó interesante. ¿Puedes hablarnos un poco más de Jin, y de su significado y de lo que representa.
There's a figure in the film that I found fascinating, el jinn. El jinn. Tell us a bit more about his significance and what you wanted to explore, explain, convey. Tell us about that.
I'm so glad you enjoyed that.
Me encanta que te haya gustado eso. El jinn
was an important aspect in the film because I wanted there to be a sense of uncertainty. We see the entire story primarily from Vincent's perspective, and I wanted to just add a reliable narrator throughout the whole thing, and the jinn allowed me to do that, where is it fantastical? Is Vincent actually experiencing those things? Is he truly losing his mind? Has he actually been possessed? It just adds a layer of complexity to the story and makes it more interesting. And that was something I did primarily for myself, to make the story a bit more interesting and nuanced. The first few versions of the story had no fantastical elements. I felt it needed something to just elevate it a little bit more. And then the ending takes on an entirely different meaning. And also some remarkable things have happened where people have come up to me with their own interpretation of events in the film that are so much better than the way I interpreted the film. So that's why I never tell anybody what is actually happening. And everybody keeps giving me these wonderful ideas and takes on the film that I'm like, yes, of course, I planned for all of that. No, I did not plan for any of that, but that's the fun of it. It's taken on a life of its own.
Es que ha cobrado una vida a sí misma.
Sí, totalmente de acuerdo. También lo que te voy a preguntar es, vemos que Vincent tiene muchas figuras de vidrio. Si tuvieses la oportunidad de crear una figura de vidrio, ¿cuál sería y por qué?
We see that Vincent has many glass figures. If you personally could create a glass figure, what would it be and why?
That's a great question.
Muy buena pregunta.
I think a lot of the things that Vincent makes are things I would like to make myself. So I won't come up with anything unique. I'll just say that the butterfly that he makes, because nobody's really made a glass clip like that, where the wings are attached to the clip mechanism for the hair. So I would love if I could make a piece of a glass sculpture, I would love to try and make that. But that also is a little fantastical because something like that I haven't seen yet. Maybe somebody has made it, but I haven't seen it. So I would like to try that.
A mí me gustaría intentar probar eso.
Sí, seguro que eres un artista, al igual que creas historias, seguro que con el vídeo también harías auténticas maravillas.
I'm sure do wonderful things.
Thank you so much.
También lo que te quería preguntar es, la película está en la carrera por los Oscars para conseguir una nominación, los próximos Oscars. ¿Qué significaría para ti y para tu equipo conseguir esa nominación a mejor película de animación?
The film is in the race, nominations, Oscars, etc. What would it mean for you and your team if you actually pulled that off, got that?
To be very honest, I'm not thinking that far ahead. There's a very long journey ahead of me. I'm honored that we were selected, but we still have a long way to go. So I'm keeping my head down and staying focused and trying to do the best I can. It's not just making a great film, it's also meeting the right people, getting the people to vote for the film. So I'm learning on this journey, and I don't want to think that far ahead.
No quiero pensar tanto en el futuro.
Ya para finalizar, lo que te quería preguntar es, la película transmite muchos valores a lo largo de la película, como son el amor, el arte, el coraje, que son como los tres que más destacan en la historia. Para ti, ¿cuál sería el más importante a día de hoy?
The film conveys, transmits lots of values throughout: love, art, bravery, etc., etc. What for you would be the most important value in the world as it is today's world?
Again, a wonderful question.
Maravillosa pregunta, otra vez.
I think empathy.
Yo creo que la empatía.
I think we've lost
Yo
a
creo
bit
que
of
hemos
that.
perdido algo de eso. Necesitamos
Feel for our fellow
sentir cosas
humans,
para otros
humanity
seres
more.
humanos, más
And
humanidad.
that's what I tried to
Y eso es
showcase
lo que
in
yo
this film.
intenté transmitir
Empathy
en esa
and love.
película, la empatía y el amor.
Sí, ya para finalizar, para ti, The Glass Worker is...
So, to finish, for you, the glass worker is...
Does it have to be one word or long?
En una palabra o...
o one word o a frase.
Or a word or a sentence, or what? The glass worker is what?
Lo primero que te...
The first thing that comes to...
The first thing that comes to mind, the glass worker is over.
Se acabó, está acabado. O sea, se termina.
Because I still can't believe it was such
Porque
a long
todavía
journey.
no me lo puedo creer, es que ha sido un viaje tan largo.
But
Pero
if I were to
si
elaborate
tuviese
more,
que elaborar, digamos,
the glass worker is
el glass worker es
a culmination
es una
of a
culminación
lot of
de
people's hard work,
mucho trabajo
for
muy
which I'm
duro
very
por parte de
grateful
mucha
for,
gente,
and the
que estoy
realization
muy
of a
agradecido,
childhood dream.
la realización de un sueño desde la infancia.
Pues Usman, te agradecemos mucho que hayas atendido a Cineseries y Acción, deseando que se estrene la película, porque yo creo que la película es maravillosa y que seguro que funciona súper bien, y yo que la pude ver me gustó un montón y estoy deseando que llegue a los cines para volverla a ver otra vez.
I'm honored and I'm grateful. Thank you so much.
Muy agradecido por todo lo que has hecho. Gracias.